911, what's your emergency? 911, what's your emergency?
Be advised, Car 4 has control of the pursuit. Proceed with caution.
Well, hello, everyone. It's good to see all of you this evening. Hey, Meister.
Hey, Kristen, man, they're going to get tired of seeing my face. I've been going live a lot lately.
Oh, they won't get tired of your face.
They're lucky to see me tonight. I am so wore out from Sunday and then everything that took place yesterday. And then we got documents being dropped today. And it's just like, geez, is it ever going to stop at the documents so we can just get on with this dang trial?
It's coming.
It ain't coming quick enough.
No, I know. It seems like just every day it's something else, right?
Yeah, and I had somebody send me a message today and said, are they able to still file a continuance even though the jury's been seen? And I said, yep, they sure can.
Yeah, they can, but I don't see that happening.
I don't either. I think they're just ready to get it over with.
They're ready to go. They're going to just do it and see what, let the chips fall where they may. And if he's convicted, they're going to appeal, and that'll be that.
Right.
So we have a jury.
Yes, finally.
And
it went pretty quick, though, didn't it?
It went really quick. I was absolutely floored that it went as fast as it did.
Oh, me too. Me too.
But I think that's a good thing. I'm glad that it didn't take the whole time, and it gives her, she's able to give everybody a break. Tomorrow there's no court. And so Thursday, she's going to bring them back. She's going to swear the jurors in.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be put on a bus and taken to Lafayette, and she's going to deal with motions.
Yep, for the rest of the day.
And then Friday, we have opening statements, and that is going to be huge because the prosecution's going to go first, and we are going to hear what happened.
He's going to lay the groundwork.
Yep.
The picture,
And I know that people are in the chat, and I will say hi to you guys in just a minute. I don't want you to think that I'm going to ignore that. But I have to bring this up because I know that it's on everybody's mind, because there's people out there running with it and going crazy. And I want Frank to help me here. This is what this is about. This is about Abby Williams and Liberty German, guys.
Read my shirt.
Yep.
If you can see it.
Yep. It's absolutely about them. It's not about YouTubers. It's not about, true crime genre crazy people. It's not about any of this and none of the drama. It's about these two beautiful girls who were unalived in a horrific way by a monster, an evil being, in my opinion. And, we can't lose sight of that. With that being said, today in court, what's wrong?
What you're getting ready to say?
Yeah,
I'm reading your mind already.
Today in court, it was brought up that Abby had a hair in her hand that does not match Richard Allen. This was brought up by the defense, guys, and everybody is going ape shit over it. They've all lost their minds, and it's kind of like, let's put the brakes on and remember what I told you guys about opening statements and about what the defense can say, and because they did many opening statements with these jurors.
Yep.
And they were allowed that, both sides. And so they brought this out, this fact, but they didn't say if it was a human hair or if it was animal hair. They didn't say anything except this was a hair. You want to pick up on that, Frank Meister?
And once again, they said it did belong to Richard Allen. Now, let's rewind a few years back when the DNA stuff was all talked about, how there was a mixture of Libby and Abby's blood together, and there was an unknown male DNA sample mixed in, but they could not get enough markers to create a DNA profile. What did they say back then? They said, but we cannot exclude Richard Allen. And that's what the defense is leaving out here when it comes to this hair thing. They're saying it's not Richard Allen, but you're not telling the back part of it.
They're not telling the fact that they couldn't decide, they couldn't match it to him because they don't have enough DNA.
Right. And
so this leads me to believe that it's very possible, and this question came up today, to me, does this hair have sorry guys, my voice is kind of fading, I don't know why. Does it have a root? Because the hair has to have a root to get the complete DNA profile, which leads me to believe that this does not have a root. This hair doesn't have a root, which means it would have to be mitochondrial DNA, and mitochondrial DNA is not as good as nuclear DNA is.
Okay, I did some looking into this today.
Yay!
Nuclear DNA, you only have to have 16 markers to create a DNA profile. With mitochondrial, 16 to 24 markers have to be available to create a DNA profile. So if they did not have enough markers to create a DNA profile, which would lead you to believe that you cannot exclude Richard Allen.
Right. Yep. And of course, the defense isn't going to say that.
Right.
All they want to give just enough for the jury to think, oh, well, wait a minute, where did that hair come from?
Right.
Right. Well, we know that there was a sweatshirt involved here that wasn't hers.
Right.
It was someone else's, right? It was Kelsey's. Now, we also know that Kelsey had a boyfriend that she visited that the hair could have come from that home, could have come from her own home or work, because she also had a job. And we don't know where that sweatshirt has been.
Exactly.
So Nick's going to bring all of those points up. Trust me, he will address the hair in the hand.
I'm just looking through the chat. Hey, Witchcraft, good to see you.
Sorry.
You good? It happens when you're running a podcast.
Oh, wow.
What?
Nothing. I was just emails. People are just, they're never going to give up, you know. Hey, Boston, how are you guys? Good to see you. Hi, Mitzi. Hey, Jennifer Reynolds.
Big Mateo. Big Mateo. There is going to be very limited podcasters in that courtroom. I'd be lucky if there'd be 5 in there. Honestly.
Yeah, they don't have enough room. For one thing. Hold on a second. I got to fix this. I'm having a mouse issue. Hopefully
get your spiders on them.
Yeah, I know. No kidding. That's what I need. I need to get the spiders. What is that?
Exactly, Lynn. GMBs, they neglected to say if it was human or animal hair.
And they did it on purpose.
Yep.
They did that on purpose, guys, because, again, they want us all talking about it. They want it to be out there. They want social media to be talking about it. They want the news media to be talking about it.
They're trying to create a narrative. They're trying to create a narrative.
Yes.
To confuse.
And especially with the group that already believes Richard Allen's innocent. So this is just like, oh, they're going to run with it, you know?
Yep, exactly. And that's exactly what's happening. What happened today.
Exactly.
And I was like, oh, Kristen called me and she says, you can come on my live. And I said, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's set the record straight real quick.
Exactly.
Because they don't want to go back and review anything from the past that's been put out or said or anything. They don't want to do that.
Today, the defense also, the prosecution is trying to keep the sketches out of the trial. And everybody's up in arms over that. Well, why would they want to do that, for God's sakes? Well, stop and think about it.
Can I step in here real quick?
Yeah.
The law states composite sketches are considered hearsay. It's an out-of-court statement, so it is hearsay.
We were told over and over and over again by Doug Carter, these sketches are not photographs. This is something that was created by an artist based upon a person who witnessed something. And we've talked about this. These witnesses had to create that on the back end. They didn't know that they were that there was going to be 2 girls that were murdered and that they were going to have to give a composite drawing of who they saw.
Okay. I might have to explain why it would be hearsay on a sketch. It's because the person who might have saw something is telling another person something, and he's putting it down on paper as a sketch. So that is considered hearsay.
Yes. And those sketches, I did a whole bunch of different videos on those way back in the very beginning of my channel when we talked about the sketches, and we talked about how accurate composite sketches are, and honestly, they're very inaccurate. 9 times out of 10, nobody is found or caught because of a composite sketch. And there are times when they are spot on, where you look at a sketch and then you look at the perpetrator that is accused and ends up being caught, and they look enormously alike or similar. But to me, it's a nothing burger, in my opinion, when it comes to why the sketches aren't going to be included. But again, we have on the other side all of these Richard Allen pro defense crazed people stating that the prosecution is trying to keep any narrative about other actors out of this trial. Well, the prosecution believes they have their guy. The prosecution, of course, doesn't want a narrative of anyone else that would have been able to commit this crime because there's no evidence to that in their minds based on the investigation.
And then, in like one of their opening mini statements for the jury selection, they were saying that Richard Allen, under duress, said he shot the girls in the back. Now, me and you had a conversation about this before we came on. What if he was attempting to shoot one of the girls and had a misfire, and that's what the round was that they found?
Very, very, very possible.
You know?
Very, very possible. We both said that round got on the ground somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And there's really only a couple of ways for it to do it if it's been cycled through a gun.
Right.
Right.
So we know he cycled it at the scene. There's
right.
no doubt.
Absolutely.
Either by a misfire or he was cycling around.
Yep. Absolutely. And in his mind, maybe he thought he did shoot her.
Maybe he's blocking it out to what he actually did.
And that could very well be as well.
Right.
Again, I had this conversation today as well. Richard Allen didn't start eating paper until he was given the discovery.
Right.
When he got the discovery is when all of his psychosis started, supposedly, where he started behaving, funky and doing all these weird and bizarre things. And how much of that was orchestrated by a defense team to show him in a certain way or a certain light, hey, this is what they've got. The only way we're going to get out of this is if we show that your confessions were not real.
Course,
they were given because you were mentally not all here. And I've said before, you can't turn on and turn off psychosis.
No.
It doesn't work that way. Let's say hello to some more people. We got Rescue All the Dogs here. Melissa, Wildcard, Linda Harders. Good evening, ladies. How are you all? Hey, Witchcraft, how are you doing? Hey, Lisa, so glad you're here with me today.
And it still doesn't change the fact that he admitted to being there. He admitted to running into the 3 preteens.
Yep.
Somewhere in between the trailhead and on the trail
wearing
somewhere.
Rich guy's outfit.
He admitted, he says it's the Farm Bureau building, but I'm sure that was probably a mistake on his end. Or he was just trying to change it to make it look like he wasn't parked there.
Right. Hey, Red Queen, how are you? Hey, Angela. Thanks, guys, for showing up. Hey, Shane, how are you? Good to see you. Hey, Mustang, how are you doing? Hey, Jill. Good to see you. I hope you're feeling well.
She was at the walk.
Good. I'm glad. Hey, Olivia, too.
Tech Death, what's going on, my brother?
Hey, Tech, how are you? Good to have you here always. Hey, Alora. Yes, justice for Abby and Libby is coming. I firmly believe that. I'm just going through this chat, making sure I don't miss anyone. Get out of my kitchen. How are you? So glad that you're here. Hey, Kristen and Frank, watch on replay all the time, but it's my first time catching a live. Awesome. Glad that you're here.
Exactly, SP74. The hair was a big deal. We even heard about this a long time ago.
Big Mateo Funland says, who's taking notes in shorthand on Friday? Need money for legal pads. Susan Hendricks will be in the courtroom, guys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she was at the jury selection. Yeah.
There's 12 jurors And then there's 4 alternates in case something happens to one of the 12 jurors or 4 of the jurors, whatever. They always choose 4 alternates because most of the time you're not going to have the jury. Something's going to happen. There will be a juror get sick or something, especially when you have sequestered jurors. Let's see what else. Linda said she can't wait to get her shirt.
We had a lot of people order those. And sorry, guys, I plan to start on my merch stuff this week, but with everything going on this week, I'm just going to have to delay it a little bit.
Hey, Lynn, how are you? Good to see you. Yeah, it's really cold here.
No, there's not 14 seats up to grab. No way.
Yeah.
We figured there's less than 10. Less than 10.
Yeah, SP74, the defense does just write the narrative for the news. Absolutely. Badass American, hello. Richard Allen barely has hair now, but he had hair back then.
Hello, Lois. Lois, yeah.
Yeah, Red Queen X, absolutely. The prosecution gets their day to say and comment on this hair that was brought up. They will. Trust me, they will. And yeah, the hair doesn't change the fact that Richard Allen is bridge guy. In fact, you guys know my good friend, the Inquisitor. Go watch him. He put out a video today with that very thing. Just because the hair in Libby's hand may not match Richard Allen doesn't mean he is not bridge guy and that he is not not guilty.
Miss Deb's True Crime Notebook said Miss Purdue has an interesting thought who had red hair that was close to BG.
Yep. Yeah, because wouldn't that be wild if the hair turned out to be somebody in the family, in his family?
Right, exactly.
I mean, it could be that too. I mean, it could be anything. It could be anybody. It's just like everybody said, I have really long hair. I transfer it everywhere I go. I mean, if you're around me, you're going to have my hair on you. It's that simple. So, if it's human hair, it could be anybody's.
Deb says, I want to know how long the hair strand was.
Yeah, I know. Timmy Waring says the defense is being disingenuous. Shocker. Yep. The defense doesn't have to prove anything in opening statements. They can say whatever the heck they want. And they don't have to come back and address it. Remember that. Take notes. Take notes on what the defense talks about in their opening statement. And then throughout the trial, go back and see how many of those points do they actually hit on with their case that they present. Because what I'm trying to say is there was a whole bunch of things that Jose Baez said in his opening statement that he did not come back and address in Casey Anthony's case. And the defense doesn't have to. Yeah, Red Queen says, hair is easily transferred. I'm still finding dog hair on jackets and coats, and my dog passed away 3 years ago. Absolutely.
Man, let me tell you something. I vacuum my carpets at least 3 times a week. And when I vacuum 3 or 4 times to make sure I can get as much hair up off the damn floor as I can.
Badass American says some say it's possible the hair could have been placed there. What if Alan took hair off of a floor of a barber shop?
That's a little too far-fetched.
Anything's possible, but I think that's a little far-fetched. But
right.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's a lot. It's just a lot. Hey, Fire and Ice. Hi, Ben. Shane says, I'm not dismissing this hair at all. Unknown DNA will be a problem, but I have a feeling there's an explanation. I don't think unknown DNA is going to be a problem at all, because there's always going to be unknown DNA at crime scenes, because depending on who it is and where it is, like I said, people transfer DNA every time they touch someone. Every time you shake someone's hand, you're transferring DNA. You hug someone, you transfer DNA. I absolutely think this is a nothing burger, and people are putting too much stock in it when you have all of the other evidence that just keeps piling up and piling up for RA, you know. And speaking of that, now that I've said it, let's just go there. Another thing that happened today in court that absolutely pissed me off.
No.
You guys, I'm serious. You know me. It doesn't take a lot sometimes to get me going, but this really, really upsets me. Listen to what I'm going to tell you, that they decided in court today. They decided in court today that Abby Williams and Liberty German's names will not be used in this trial. They're going to use their initials, AW and LG. But Richard Allen's name will be used. They can say everything they want to about how the judge is pro prosecution, but that, you guys, dehumanizes those girls. That dehumanizes them. And I cannot believe that they're doing that. I've never heard of such a thing. I can't wait to ask my judge friend if he has ever heard of this or seen of this. I mean, it would be just like in the Brian Koberger trial, if they just go in and say, oh, you can't use the four victims that have been, you know, that died this horrible death, you can't use their names. Are you kidding me? It's horrible, and nobody's talking about it. There is nobody talking about it in social media. Nobody's talking about it on the news. Nobody said, hey, guess what?
Sorry, I'm reading through the chat.
And as I'm going to bounce that off, I told you guys when I had my last live about Andrea Burkhart. Well, she showed up, guys. She made the trip. She went to Allen County, and it was there in the courthouse. And now she's doing lives from some place she's staying. She continues to say that the trial is going to be 6 weeks. The woman has no idea what the heck she's talking about. She's at something like 88,000 subscribers. The only reason this woman is covering Delphi is so she can hit 100,000 subscribers. I guarantee you that is what this woman is all about. And I'm calling her ass out because she continues to not use Abby and Libby's name. It's Mr. Allen when she talks about him, Mr. Allen, Mr. Allen, but she continues to call them the victims.
All right. Remember last week sometime another creator was making accusations about pro-prosecution people was going to try to taint the jury. Well, I think it came back and bit the pro-defense's ass because it was them trying to taint a jury because of Miss Lana from Truth and Transparency Channel. And you thought you were slick trying to be incognito at the walk this past Sunday, putting your hair all up and wearing a ball cap and trying to dress like a boy or a man, whatever. You got picked up on real quick. Don't know what your intent was, but people were well aware that you were there, and they knew to keep their mouth shut and not talk about anything. And then for you to be going around videotaping vehicles and stuff at the courthouse today, that's not too slick either. Not slick at all, because that is considered jury tampering if that was what you were doing. And believe me, I'm sure they're probably looking at your butt right now. You best believe that.
Frankie Christian says, as soon as Burkhart said Yellow Jacket and Sleuthy Goosey, I knew exactly what her game was and turned it off.
Doesn't surprise me.
Nope, me either. Like I said, and these people, it's just, I mean, we've got somebody. Frank, do you want to address this?
What?
Somebody today taking photographs of.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. The Truth and Transparency channel. Lana, hold on, I got her name. Because the family were messaging me, asking me, and they even called me. Hold on. I'll put her name out there. I don't care, because she puts it out there anyway.
They said those are Snays girls.
Oriani. Lana Oriani is her name. It's
crazy. It's beyond crazy, you guys. It is beyond. This has gone way beyond anything I can ever. These people are just, they could care less about Abby and Libby. They could care less about justice. These people are just evil.
And I was telling you in the green room before the show, and I said, man, I'd love to see the backlash that these people are going to get after this case is over with.
What's going on with Luttrell? Somebody said he's in some shit with the federal court. What's going on with Luttrell? I haven't heard any of that.
I haven't either.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know if they want their 15 minutes of fame or what it is, but I do believe they're trying to build YouTube channels off the backs of these girls, and it makes me angry. It's one thing to have covered this case from the beginning and have a YouTube channel and talk about it, but to look at this case and know how big it is and have never covered it before, and you have over 88,000 subscribers, and you cover true crime, and now all of a sudden you say, oh, I'm going to go to Delphi and I'm going to put myself right in the middle of this case. I just think it's absolutely appalling.
Let me answer Joe. Hey, Joe, it doesn't look like I'm going to attend the trial because the funds and how expensive it's going to be up there, but I am planning to try to make it at least a couple times just to sit in and see what's going on. But I've got several people that get with me with updates, like up in Allen County for the jury selection.
Yep, same.
And I trust these people.
Absolutely.
I have when it comes to other channels, I've noticed that they like to try to put their own twist on it when it comes to attending the hearings and things, and that I'm just not down with that. There's only a select few people that I will trust with their actual reporting from inside the courtroom.
Well, I know Susan Hendricks is there, and she's going to be on my channel, and I guarantee you Frank will be with me. And when I talk to Susan, you can guarantee that everything that she has to say about what happens in that courtroom is absolutely spot on.
Right.
Oh, Scarlet Letter says violation of the defendant's constitutional rights over a drug deal. What?
Hold on.
What? Hey, John, how are you?
I didn't see that.
John France says, I think Oriani sided with Chris Watts' family too. Oh, geez. That says a lot, right?
I didn't see that from Scarlet Letter.
Yeah, I saw Bob Mata on Ashley Banfield last night, and he said one thing that I did like. She brought up the fact that there's been all this tension between the defense and the judge in this case, and she asked him if that had been resolved, and Bob Mata actually came out and said, yeah, I really think that that's old news and doesn't have any we don't have anything to worry about. Once the Supreme Court put them back on the case, everything seems to have rectified itself and seems to be going okay. That was what he said. So I was happy to see that he said that. But
I'm reading a comment from Frankie. He watched MS and he said, made a good point about the hair, that it could be similar to the Rex Howerman trial where his wife's hair was found and she was cleared.
Rex Howerman, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But right now, this is all speculation. We don't know if there was actually a hair found or anything like that. We don't know if
it was human hair. We don't know any of it. We don't know, we don't know any of it. And we could speculate till the cows come home on what it could be or might be or whatever. I guarantee you it doesn't equate to Richard Allen being innocent.
Right.
I can guarantee that part. That's not what it means. But yeah, it could be Kathy Allen's hair. It could be his daughter's hair.
Right.
It could be somebody that he works with's hair.
Andrew
we don't
is
know.
A low defense public defender near the Coburger.
Lynn Harder says, I hope that Andrea doesn't get in there during the trial. There's a lot of people I hope don't get in there. And we'll just have to wait and see.
Oh, you best believe they're going to be looking down from the third floor down at the door, said we're out of seats and they're not letting nobody else in.
Uh-huh.
Guarantee it.
Yeah. Oh my God, my phone, your phone.
Niece Tara said that Lana was arrested today.
Lana was?
Yep, according to Tara.
Good. Jury tampering. Interesting.
Wouldn't surprise me. Dumbass.
You what?
I said, wouldn't surprise me, that dumbass.
You know,
French.
No, it's funny. You and I were talking about it in the green room. We were talking about it earlier today. You know, these people that think that they can, that, you know, what person in their right mind thinks it's okay to take photographs of license plates and cars of prospective jurors? How do you even find in your mind or your realm of whatever that that's okay?
And then she was walking around asking people if they were part of the jury selection and stuff like that. And I'm like,
you can't do that. They keep jurors anonymous for a reason. That's how come our jury system works, is because people, you know, if you were to allow people to find out who jurors are before the fact, come on. They can say it's a public place all they want. That doesn't, no. You can't walk around and try to find out who the jurors are and take pictures of their cars. And somebody said, Louise said, crazy people with no morals or integrity.
I'm sorry, Joe, but I looked and looked and looked for months and everything was pretty much booked up. But I did have somebody at the walk get a hold of somebody about a hotel in Monticello, but the funds aren't there. You're talking a couple $1,000s just to stay in a hotel room for a month.
Yeah, that's a lot. And you know, it's
and me living on Social Security, no way.
Rescue was in court for jury selection. Rescue told me that a lot of the jurors that were being questioned and there didn't want to be there.
Yeah, she told me this. She called me when she got out there yesterday and was telling me that it was blatantly obvious.
And you got to remember, you guys, this jury is going to be sequestered for a month. It's the trial is slated to go through November 15th. And that's without any hiccups. That's without anything that may delay it because of this or that, which can happen. And so I'm just saying, you know, you have to remember that. And some of these people can't afford to be away from their jobs or their family that long. And, you know, it's, man,
I'm already
oh
driving.
yeah. I have no idea, but Bridge Guy states, Richard Allen, in one of his confessions, said that he was interrupted during the murders.
Yep, and we already know what we believe happened there. One of two scenarios happened there. Either he heard Derek yelling for the girls up the trails,
Or Cheyenne,
or Brad Weber was coming up the driveway.
Yep, because we
One
know
of the
he
two.
came home.
Yep.
Yeah. And again, you know, jurors that are sequestered and like this, yeah, they're getting paid $80 a day or whatever it is. But for a lot of these people that are professionals, that's just a drop in the bucket for what they would normally be making at their jobs.
Right.
So I think he heard people and got scared.
That's what I think. That's why it looked like it was a rush job when it came to trying to hide the girls or conceal them. It was blatantly obvious he didn't finish what he was there. I mean, the staging, he wasn't finished.
Right. And remember, we've never heard completely what happened to the girls.
Right.
But we're gonna. We are gonna. And it's gonna be tough.
No, I can't believe they're going to call 120 witnesses, possible witnesses.
Squeaky Wheel says he started covering up their bodies with limbs and branches and heard people yelling for them off in the distance.
That's what I believe, or the Brad
Weber.
Absolutely.
I think that he, you know, he heard people and he's like, oh my God, there's people out here. I got to get out. I got to get the heck out of here. I got to get the heck out of here. People are looking for these girls already.
Right.
I'm sure that's what he was thinking.
Derek was out there.
Yeah.
Shortly after. He was out there about 3:15 that day.
And as you said, Derek is going to be one of the first witnesses that they call.
Yep.
And Derek is going to have to talk about what happened that day. And I feel bad for him because he's got to carry a lot of emotional baggage from that day.
A lot of guilt.
I wish he wouldn't feel guilty,
right.
You know, because
that's just human nature for a parent anyway.
But I was just going to say, he wanted to be her protector and always was her protector. And that day he couldn't.
Yeah,
I don't remember if Derek called Tara or called Becky first, but he called one of them and said that he could not locate the girls. They weren't there to meet him, and that Libby was not answering her phone, which was a red flag because Libby always answered her phone.
I believe it was Becky.
She said that when she always had her phone with her, and she always answered her phone.
Oh, yeah, and it came out during the jury selection that, yes, they did cross the creek. He forced them across the creek.
Yes. They did cross the creek.
Yep.
Yep.
Just reading through the chat, guys.
Oh, Miranda, I'm really sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that you were in the hospital. I hope you have a speedy recovery. Gambia says, I feel so bad for the jurors in any case. So much rides on their shoulders. Then add in crazy Delphi people and being away from their family for so long. That's a ton to put on someone. Yes, because stop and think about it. They can't have any, they don't get any social media. They can't have their phones. They can't have iPads. They can't have any electronic devices with them.
No
they will
TV.
be allowed to watch
movies that are, yeah.
Pardon?
Like movies and stuff like that.
Yeah, they'll be provided rooms where they can go to watch a movie, or a TV show, or, whatever, but they can't watch anything where they would see news or anything where they could possibly see anything about Delphi. They're not going to be allowed to see that.
Big Mateo. I'll have to get a hold of you. She says she's got so many travel points and hotel perks.
That's good to know. The military teaches a lot about camouflage and about how to cover things up. But all I'm saying is, I still think that the FBI was spot on when they said it was an undoing, that the person was trying to undo what they had just done.
Right.
And that was what was happening there. And I, you got to remember, the FBI they see so many of these crimes. They have so much information. They know what they're looking at. You have to trust in that part, Here's Susan.
Oh my goodness, dude.
Things are on track. Much love to you, lady. Much love to you.
It's been a minute, Susan. It's good to see you.
It is so good to see you. Susan's a babe. Be careful, her husband might kick your butt.
Or I'll have you kick your butt just having that thought. Yeah.
They want to know, Susan, how did they decide which media gets a seat? Can you let them know that?
They'll be talking about that Thursday.
I'm so glad that you're going to be there. I'm just like...
Yeah, they're going to decide that on Thursday, I believe. All the nonsense that happened today, Susan, with somebody trying to take license plate photos and trying to find out who juror members were.
I hope they throw the book at her. I hope they scare the living daylights out of her. People like this need to, it's, oh my God.
Oh, right, Frankie.
Back rubs?
I know.
I'm really glad Susan is going to be there, you guys.
She's
an absolute class act, and a lot of the people that we've been talking about and discussing are not.
She does have a press pass, guys.
She said she just got a text saying that you guys were live.
Well, I sent it to her. Yeah. I sent everybody in my little circle a notification who's going live. And I got a couple mods in my channel that's also your channel, does the same thing with your channel, my channel, Coach Kev, Susan. If anybody in the circle is going live, we publicize it.
Oh, and I couldn't because I'd set my live up this morning on StreamYard. It wouldn't let me go in and simulcast this to you. I don't know why. I think I have to pick that when I set it up or something.
Yeah, when you set up your StreamYard.
And I didn't.
Right. That's okay.
So next time I will have to make sure I remember to do that, because
I only
did that one time on Marv's, but it worked.
I always share when you're live, all through my Facebook groups, my Facebook, my contacts, all through my messenger, through my phone.
Did they want to know, did Alan use a burner phone? We don't know.
All we know is that there was 3 phones out there that were unidentified, which is an indication they were burner phones. That's all we know.
I love this. Susan is family and should be in with the family.
Well, some of the family members were there today.
I'm just saying, Susan doesn't need a press pass. She can be in with the family. But yeah, I think she's covering this as a press person. So.
Well, I can tell you right now, Constantine, he did not leave his personal phone in the car. And I'll explain why. Because remember here just a few months back, the defense wanted to do another geofencing test and expand the parameters from the old information back then. Well, if that's the case, if they thought his phone would have been in his car, why in the hell would they want to do that?
Exactly.
And then Nick didn't want to use the geofencing because it's so inaccurate.
Yeah. I'm furious too. I'm furious. I'm furious that they won't be saying their names, because to me that dehumanizes who they were, who they are. I don't care if it's because they're minors. I don't buy that, because I just watched the opening statements for the Quentin Simon case this morning, and they used his name, and Quentin was just a little 2-year-old little boy. So I mean,
that shit don't. Yeah, I don't buy that shit either, because the media uses their name like it's nothing.
Yeah, they say it all the time.
What's the difference?
And so that, to me, that's not. I don't believe that. I don't buy it. And to me, to give more respect to the accused, this is part of what's wrong with our social or our justice system, in my mind, is that victims have so little clout, so to speak. Everything is based on this person has to get a fair trial. This person has to get this. This person has to get that. What about what the people that were killed or maimed or, whatever? What about those people and their rights? We just, to me, it's upside down. It's just upside down. But the Inquisitor is amazing. He's a good friend. And if you haven't had a chance to go see his video that he put out today on the hair, please make sure that you go watch it, because it is worth seeing. And I will put it in the chat. Just give me a second.
And remember when we was talking about how they put out Dr. Waller's address?
Yes.
I called the court about that and talked to one of the clerks, and they told me that's on them. But she did say they just refiled it with an unredacted. I said, it's a little bit late now. Her address is out there.
So hang on a second, guys. I'm going to go ahead and play this real quick, because it's not very long. So I'm just going to go ahead and present it and play it. So just give me a minute.
My understanding, John, it was an agreement between both sides.
Baldwin brought up that hair was found in Abby's hand in day 2 of jury selection, but the context was not clear. According to Barbara McDonald, he meant strands of hair. A hair without a root on it is mitochondrial DNA, which could not directly match anyone to the crime scene, but tests could show a certain percentage of people who it could be connected to through maternal lineage and possibly exclude X amount of people. There could be a simple reason as to the hairs and who the hairs could belong to, and it could be a family members of Abby's or Libby's or her own hair or Libby's hair. Hair is easily transferable. The defense didn't bring the hair up in any of the motions and instead put focus on their odious third-party culprit names as being responsible for the murders. The hair being from someone else, like another actor, would not mean Alan is innocent, and the kidnapping element of the charges would still be favorable. Rick Allen's defense attorney, Andrew Baldwin, brought up that.
So there you go. And that's from my good friend, the Inquisitor. And I thought that he did a really bang-up job to explain it in a very short, concise way. Obviously, there are people out there that just want to run with the whole, Richard Allen's innocent. There was a hair that's unidentified.
Right. Susan says, let's all take a breath. Anything we see that seems desperate is just that. If desperation measures are taken, there you go. It's taken for a reason. Let's not lose sight of what's ahead.
Yep. Absolutely.
I think that the pro prosecution is doing the right thing as far as sleuthers, podcasters, and stuff like that. They're doing the right thing, but we cannot pay attention to these pro defense people if we can't, if we don't have to, I should say. But what happened today with truth and transparency is something that needs to be talked about.
It's exactly why we have no cameras in the courtroom, you guys.
Exactly. Prime
This
example.
is why she did not allow this, because she knew this was going to be a circus, and we continue to have these YouTubers create nightmares. It makes you embarrassed to be a YouTuber that tries to do the right thing, because you've got these idiots out there that are trying to derail crap at every turn. It makes me mad. I don't know if they're ruthless or if they're just unethical. I mean, I just think they're unethical. That's just me. So, I mean, you know, people are going to say what they want, obviously, about the defense, and you know, I'm not calling them out and saying that they're jury tampering, but
it doesn't necessarily have to be them directly or have any involvement in it. It's just the point of the matter that you got these, my favorite word, scarecrows,
yeah,
you know, out here trying to sabotage whatever we can get done with this case. Not necessarily us as podcasters, but what the prosecution is trying to do. It's trying to do his job and prosecute the man that did this, you know.
Exactly.
What is your end game? What are you going to do at the end of this case? And you're going to get all this backlash for it, because I'm telling you, a lot of these guys are going to get serious backlash.
Oh, you know, when this case is over and said and done, there are a lot of charges that could be brought.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. I mean, jury tampering, like Susan says, it's a serious offense.
Yes, very.
Well, we know, Joe, that the defense is getting free advertisement, but they're not getting it really from us. We're just countering what's going on that side.
So, the basically, it's jury tampering is a felony. It also can be, it varies from state to state on what their penalty is. In Ohio, the maximum penalty for jury tampering is 10 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. In New York, it's a Class D felony and can result in up to 7 years in prison. It's very serious, and it's serious because it can make a trial unfair. And it's important that jurors not feel threatened or feel coerced or anything, and that they're making their decisions based solely on evidence that they see and that's presented. And that's one of the things that was asked of them this week. Can you put aside anything that you may have in your head about this case or about similar cases or whatever, and only base your decisions upon what the evidence is that's being presented in court?
Yes, Alan's daughter and son-in-law can be called to testify. Not sure if it, because I haven't seen any of the witness list, and that's a reminder I need to call and see if they're sealed or not. Because I'd like to see who's on those lists.
Shane says, look, if the prosecution is correct and this was an essay, men just don't get an attraction to teenagers overnight. We don't know Alan's history with his daughter. excuse my graphicness. Well, we don't, and we don't know any of that. All we know now is that he did confess to sexual assault of both girls. We don't know if that's the case. None of us have known. I've always heard that they weren't. So again, him confessing that, Frank and I have talked about this as to why those confessions may be so different than what actually happened. Susan Hendricks is the only media person I like because she's honest and doesn't try to spin. She is.
And that's why I was giving my explanations. I don't like really to try to take any notes or any secondhand information from anybody inside the courtroom. I like to be there myself because I go word for word what's being said in there, because I have caught the media many a times. I've caught other podcasters many a times. Just like, for example, when we was in Allen County a few months back, people were saying, about them wanting an extra 2 weeks. And I said, well, you need to thank Nick for that. When the judge asked him, when can you be done with your part of the case? And Nick told him straight up, look, I can't give you a time frame. You know, if they need extra 2 weeks, give it to them, is basically what Nick was telling them. So to me, the defense needs to give an applaud to Nick for basically sticking up for them and giving them an extra 2 weeks.
Right.
You know, and It's just like I said, I've got just a small handful of people I trust. 2 of them are in the Discord now or in the chat now with information. Susan and Rescue, and I've got a couple news people that I trust, and that is it. Because I've caught too many, like I said, I've caught too many of them trying to put a spin on things.
Exactly. I mean, you can't sit and make statements like, Richard Allen left his phone in the car. We don't know that.
Yeah.
Stop with that. I mean, come on.
If you got proof, show us.
Exactly.
And then I came back with rebuttal. Well, if that's the case, then why would the defense want to have a geofencing parameter expanded if they would ever think that his personal phone was in the car? See, they're not thinking like we do.
No, and it's.
Dad wasn't trying to be sarcastic, but you're not in the courtroom. But I love your videos because you're on point and you know what you're doing with them and you know what to say with them. Not to try to confuse anybody. You're strictly with the documents, just like the rest of us.
Oh my gosh, she does an amazing job.
She does.
You are absolutely spot on, girlfriend. Yep. And you looked amazing at the walk. I just want you to know. You looked amazing. There are a number of different things that this case could be, like I said, could be about. But if it is what we think, and that this crime was a sexual crime in itself, there's things to remember here, you guys. A lot of sexual assault is about power. Remember what Doug Carter told us. We know this is about power to you.
Mm-hmm.
Remember why, everything that he said that day to us, Doug Carter, that was all laid out by the FBI. That was every single word was delicately picked and for good reason. And they know why these guys do this. And even though you guys see it as a sexual crime, yes, but it is still about power, and it's about taking the power away from someone and taking their power away. And there's no better way to do that than forcing someone to undress when you take their power away. They were talking about that in the chat.
Yeah.
Cynthia says, I agree. These YouTubers have created this problem with fighting in public and interfering with information, and they know who they are. I agree about Susan. She is professional. Absolutely. This is not our first day on the block. And
no,
there are people out there that are still part of this case, that are still going to the hearings, that are still reporting on this case. And if you look back at some of their history, what they did hurt this case. And you guys know how I feel about some of these people, but I will tell you that they
can't even think of the words, can you?
I can, but I'm trying to be very diplomatic here. But they released some information that should never have been to the public, should never have been out there. There was no reason for it to get out there. And all it did was create a nightmare in this case for the prosecution. And you can consider it meddling. You can consider it whatever. We all ran with it. We all thought that it was, great, whatever. But I'm just, they know who they are. They know they shouldn't have done it. And we've got, the Ron Logan search warrant should never have been given to the press. That was absolutely one of the worst things that could have ever happened in this case.
And what happened as soon as they released it?
Exactly. What happened as soon as that was released to the press?
Ron Logan got smeared like you wouldn't believe.
Those are the kinds of things that can hurt cases that, people think, oh, we're doing the good thing. We're smarter than law enforcement. We know better. We know what we're smarter than the people that are investigating this case.
And then to have a national syndicate journalist go down that rabbit hole.
Oh my God. I don't know how she gets up in the morning and looks in the mirror. I mean, seriously, when you stop and think about everything and how she put on such a great show about caring about these families and caring about justice. Oh my God.
And I can't believe she had an audacity. She ain't been to any of the hearings since the Supreme Court, and all of a sudden she just came out of nowhere.
Yes, questions about how far they're going to go. The jury will not be allowed to have their phones. Absolutely will not be allowed to have their phones. They will not be allowed to look at social media. Their phone calls will be monitored. They'll have phones that they can use. Those will be monitored. They can't, that's what sequestering means, you guys. And it is to protect the case from them talking to anyone about the case, or reading any news reports about the case, or seeing any visual reports about the case.
Man.
I like John goes, we know who they are. Yeah, you do. Yeah, we know who they are for sure. Yeah, he did. He got smeared and died not knowing that we weren't accusing him of doing these heinous crimes. Exactly. I don't know who that is, but
who?
They're talking about DB. I don't know why they keep bringing up this DB character, but anyway. Cynthia Lister says, yes, I remember very well. Some of us have followed Abby and Libby with love and care from the beginning, and we pray for justice. Absolutely. There's a lot to be said about people who care about the girls and their legacy and their story and justice for what happened to them that day. And those people that have never lost sight of that. And the majority of the people, I would say 99.9% of them that follow this channel and follow Frank's channel are those people. And this is what gets me. The people with the bad intentions that are trying to coattail the case. It just is mind-boggling. DB is on the R&M channel. Oh, yay. Barbara and Chris Todd can't see the forest through the trees.
No, they can't have their phones, Olivia, because
They
then they can hook up to the internet.
Yeah, they can't have their phones. They absolutely cannot have their phones because of social media.
Yep.
So they're not going to allow them to have their phones and be able to sign into somebody's Wi-Fi or whatever. They're not. And they're not going to be able to monitor each individual phone that way. So no, they will not be allowed to they have to give their phones up. Oh, here you go.
Yeah, that's truth and transparency, Johnny.
Supposedly she
I mean, she put her name right out there. It was right on the damn video. And I'm like, wow, you're doxing yourself right there.
Thank you, Susan. I appreciate it so very, very much.
Yes, please. Keep us informed of what's going on.
Keep us informed on what's going on. I so appreciate you.
But I am going to try to make it to some of the trial.
I've been invited to come for a couple of days. I got a place to stay if I come for a couple of days, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it or not. I'm going to try. I wish I could come this week. I'd love to hear opening statements.
Oh, yeah,
I'd love to hear opening statements.
Mitzi's shots are showing her flex.
Thanks, Mitzi. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. And, Friday's going to be super interesting. Like I said, I'm torn because there's part of me that doesn't want to take the seats away from you guys that have been going to the case, all this, all the hearings and everything. I feel that you guys deserve them over me. And so, I'm just torn about it, and that's part of it. But, and
if I did have a seat and I looked over at the family section and they were full and I seen another family member besides Richard Allen's, I would get up and walk out, and I would just sit outside on the bench outside the courtroom until there's a break and get updates if I was there and if that was possible.
Joe says, thanks, 63. People are actually threatening others, getting personal, when I know damn well ain't no one stepping up to Frank in person.
They won't. And even when we was out at the prayer walk, I even informed law enforcement when they showed up that I was carrying. They said, "Oh, you're fine." Didn't even bother to run my name, none of that, because they usually do that kind of crap.
Yeah.
But I had my concealed license on me at the same time, so even though we don't need it, but I was advised it's good to have it anyway.
Yeah, it's always a good idea.
Yeah. Susan just messaged. When I rewatch this, I always feel better. One thing I can say is the BS on the outside is not playing out inside the courtroom. It's desperate. Yeah, we know it's desperation. It's blatantly obvious. And me and Kristen called this a few weeks back when we knew that Todd Click was going to be on the witness list. Instantly, it clicked in our head. They're going to backdoor third party.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And see what they're doing now, wanting transport orders for these inmates. Come on, even though more than likely they will not be able to testify in front of the jury. Oh, by the way, everybody, Deb's True Crime Notebook finally got monetized today.
Yay!
Just wanted everybody to go over there and give those clicks, those likes, whatever, because now she can start earning ads
Awesome.
and commercials and stuff like that.
That's awesome. Hi, Kathy. Good to see you. You know, the other thing that gets me is that when this is all said and done and this is over, this, you know, where are all of these people going to go that are putting out all of this crap? Are they going to go jump on another case? Are they going to continue in the streets of Delphi? I mean, what do you think?
Well, you know, the streets of Delphi ain't never going to die until he gets an appeal, and if he gets an appeal and they turn down the appeal.
Yeah.
You know, because y'all might as well, I mean, I hate to say it like this and try to be cockier, but y'all better start preparing for him to be going to prison and sitting there for a few years while his appeal process is going through the chain of whatever it needs to do.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I mean, I absolutely know that if he goes to jail and, you know, for this crime, which I do believe he's going to,
right,
that there will be an automatic appeal. And, you know, that's always fine and well and good. Just because you hear appeal, guys, don't run. Appeals rarely are successful.
Right.
So that's the thing, you know, to remember. Lisa says they can crawl back underneath their rock.
Well, I got to start on the Jordan Sofer case.
Yeah.
Because I've got enough information there to work with. Plenty of information. You've got it. It was sent to you.
Somebody says if he lives long enough for the appeal. No one will pay attention to the appeals. Everyone will lose interest. I'm not sure that everyone will.
No,
but,
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
But hey, we've been here about an hour. And
Yeah,
20
exactly.
minutes.
We've been here for an hour and 20 minutes, and it's time to say goodnight, you guys. But again, Frank, thanks so much as always for coming on with me.
Anytime.
You know, I felt like we should do a live tonight just to wrap up with what, you know, happened. The jury is set, you guys. When I talked to Rescue, she said that she felt comfortable and really confident with the jurors that were selected.
Yeah.
She thinks they'll do a good job. Just so you guys know, when they showed up this morning, 3 jurors already had asked to be let go. And people are, you know, speculating about that and trying to say that the prosecution was getting jurors dismissed. And that is not the case. These jurors asked to be let go. So one was health reasons. One was because of work. And I can't remember what WTHR said the other one was. But people, that's what happens in people's lives. So.
And don't forget, all the motions that were filed last week and the week before are all going to be addressed on this Thursday.
Yeah.
After the jury's been sworn in and they've been put in the cattle trucks to send to Lafayette, they're going to have the whole day to settle out all these motions that have been filed here. So we'll know if they're going to be going to the crime scene that day too. Yep.
I was just going to say, so yeah, Thursday will be the day for the motions. We'll be listening because there were some limines filed today from the prosecution. We're just gonna have to wait and see what happens if she addresses those right away. But yeah, and then opening statements on Friday, guys, and we'll go from there.
And hopefully we don't have to come back for some nonsense before then. But like we said, we've got several people that'll be there in our spot since we can't be there. Susan, I've got a couple people from the news. I've got Rescue. I think she's planning to go because she's staying at her parents' house up there for the whole month. So hopefully she can get a seat. But otherwise, you know, we'll get information, the right information.
No, exactly. And, you know, if you, like I said, if you really want to know what's happening, you know, tune in to me and Frank, because we're never going to lead you down a garden path. We're going to give you the facts.
Right.
And tell you exactly what happened.
Yeah.
But thanks for everybody that showed up tonight. I appreciate all of you. Please hit the subscribe and the like button on your way out. And thank you again, Frank. You know,
Anytime.
much love and respect. You know, you're great.
I appreciate it, young lady.
Thank
Have
you
a good
so
night.
much.
Good night, guys.
Good night, everybody.